So we're going to be talking about disaster prep. And Dave, I feel like you're one of the perfect people to talk to. What do you got for us? What do we need to be thinking about?
Sure. When you think of disaster preparedness, think of preparation as well as the restoration. So the recovery. So you have to have product categories that fit both of those, and IPG is perfect for that.
So when we're getting going, why is it important to be prepared for a disaster ahead of time?
Well, if you've been through any type of a disaster, you realize that you're in a panic mode because you can't, no electricity, or you can't get to where you need to go, or a store or distributor may not be open. And so if you're not prepared, then you're going to be stranded, so to speak. And so it's really important to think ahead, plan ahead, have a checklist, have the products in place so that you are ready for that to happen. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but it could happen.
So, Dave, I'm thinking that there's a role that IPG can play in disaster prep. I bet you can tell me what that role is.
You bet. So if you think of disaster prep, I like to break it down, and our company breaks it down. If you look at site safety, you look at storage, you look at containment, and then the restoration. And so then we have products that fit within each of those categories. So if you want, I can dive into each one and kind of talk a
Yeah,
little
that'd
bit
be
about
great.
what's important. So when you think about site safety, think about if a disaster occurs, one, you want to make sure people are safe. So you may want to utilize aisle marking tape to identify areas where they can go, shelters or arrows to follow an area, or places to stay clear of. You also want to have caution tape is another item that you may want to have around areas that you know are very vulnerable. So you want to be able to identify those areas and have those caution tapes out. Flagging ribbon is another example of a product to identify key markers and areas. And then your standards, always got to have duct tape because that's the wonder tape that you're going to use. You could have specialized tape for taping windows so that if they shatter, they don't have glass going everywhere. So will you have different type of tapes to prepare there, and then for emergency bundling and things like that, that's where you utilize the duct tape.
Okay,
So
so
that
you got a question for me already here. I've seen where people X out and do whole window tape. Are you
Yes.
saying that either of those, or is there a preferred way to go?
Well, it depends on the type of window, obviously, and where it's going to be at.
Okay.
Um, so you can cover the whole window, but you want to make sure you use a tape that will not leave a residue. So when you peel it off, it's not going to be all sticky.
Right.
And so that's where we'd use like our polyethylene tapes, for instance, whereas a duct tape is going to leave a residue, and then you're using a razor to clean off the windows afterwards.
Okay.
So that's more kind of like the site safety. Then you have containment. So you're going to want to put things in boxes. If something happens, a catastrophe happens, you're going to want to put certain things in a box, and you're going to want to be able to seal that box with carton sealing tape, for instance. And you can either utilize a clear carton sealing tape or like a flat back tape. That's for more containment, and that can be used for preparation as well as when you're in recovery. A lot of times contractors will utilize, they call packouts. So when they come into an area, they'll load all the everything that they want to protect and move out. They pack it out, seal it with the tape, move it away, do the work, and then come back and unpack. The other thing is in containment areas. So let's say a certain area has been damaged. So then you're going to want to seal off that area and contain it. And so you're going to utilize certain tapes, like you may use a masking tape against the wall, then apply the plastic, put duct tape to that, keeping that plastic in place. And then when you're done, you remove it. And by having the masking tape on, you don't ruin the wall. That is good. That's called tiling. So that's very common in the restoration industry.
I learned something new today.
Yes. And then they also utilize like a polyethylene tape at that in those areas as well while they're building those containment areas. And then in the restoration, that's when you're hiring a contractor to come in. They're doing all the demo work. So they'll load a bunch of product in plastic bags that they want to toss. They wrap duct tape around it. The bag, it's called goosenecking. It's where you take the bag, gooseneck it, and then they toss it away. And then for the preparation, they'll use the masking tapes, the blue painter's tape, duct tapes, polyethylene tapes, etc. in the process.
All of this has been fantastic. I'm going to give my very poor attempt at doing a quick 1-2 punch recap here.
Okay.
First things first, let's be prepared. If you're not prepared for a disaster, it's too late to do anything about it after the fact. The second thing, it sounds like just have the right products for the right stages, and that can make all the difference. Am I missing anything?
No, you're spot on.
Okay, well, Dave, thanks for taking the time to talk today. Thank you for sharing your experience.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.